For all of the interruptions, guys, I'll start again. Good day, everyone. DJ DARQs here for another 2DX player interview. A few technical issues to begin off with, but that's okay. We're live now. Everyone can hear. Once again, as I said, very stoked for this interview. A lot of new players won't know who this guy is, but to all of the older players who were around sort of, 6 style, 7 style CS, this guy's an absolute legend. Not just in America, but also in Japan. He left a very big impression on the community, which even to this day has lasted. So, I wanted to introduce DJ RYRY, or DJ Matic, as he was known further on. Say hi, Ryan.
Hello.
And now people can actually hear you, so that's good. So why don't you give yourself a brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, all of that.
So my name is Ryan. I'm 29 years old, living in Southern California, and I used to play more Beatmania than I should have.
Alright, excellent. And hopefully this time people have actually got that. So let's get straight into it. So what area of America are you from?
California.
California, okay. And which part of that? NorCal or SoCal? Because I know there's a big difference.
Southern California, Orange County.
Southern California, excellent. So I've got a quick question about Southern California. I mean, have music games always sort of been big? Because I know a lot of people say that California is, the place where the money's at, so they had the money to sort of bring in a lot of music games. Were you always an arcade goer when you were younger?
No, not so much. I just think that there were more arcades in the area, and there were more Asian-influenced areas that had brought it into games. I mean, I guess that's the only reason why Southern California would be any more music game oriented than other. Yeah.
I see. All right. So how did you get into Beatmania? How did you find out about this strange Japanese game?
There was actually a video rental shop near my house, and my friend went there, and they actually imported PlayStation 1 games, and they got Beatmania Second Mix when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
So rented that, and that's pretty much how I got into it.
So did you have a controller or anything?
No, I just played with the PlayStation controller.
That is, it's so crazy to think that people played with controller, or like to start off. So you literally started with Beatmania. You didn't transition across from DDR or anything.
No.
It's amazing because a lot of the people who are playing, who I've interviewed, have had that step where they've gone DDR, then found out about Beatmania, and then started Beatmania. But you started straight off from Beatmania, and that was 5K, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what year was that when they had Second Style out?
98. I believe it was October of 98.
Wow, okay. So, what sort of stood out to you? What made the game sort of appeal to you and make you go, wow, I want to play this more?
I guess it was just a little bit different than anything else at the time.
Yeah.
There was nothing really like it.
It is a very unique game, I gotta say. And, I mean...
Yeah.
So that was before, like, the big DDR explosion or anything like that. So did you have many people to play with at that time, seeing as it was just sort of at home?
No, it was pretty much just me, and my brother actually played it a little bit as well, so it was just us. And then I found out an arcade near us at the time, they had a Complete Mix 1, so we started going there pretty much every day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Play that. But it was kind of funny, because at the time it was at that arcade, it was really popular. There was actually a crowd of 20 people watching two people play Beatmania Complete Mix 1. So when you think about it, it's pretty funny. Just because the game at the time was so unappealing compared to 2DX.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No high speeds. The music was kind of shit.
Yeah.
Really wasn't much going on with it.
Yet you still had lots of people coming and watching, which is really quite fascinating to hear.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is an era where even I had no idea about Beatmania. I was still very, very young. So to hear you talking about that kind of era is crazy. So was there actually like a lot of players, or was it just you and your brother?
There were regulars at the arcade that were there pretty much every time I went.
Oh wow. Okay. that's actually amazing to hear. There's another old school player named Yusuke, who's currently living in Japan now, who said the same thing. He said like old school 5 key days were just incredible. Like the popularity and like how many people were playing. It's just like you never imagine that like a game like that from so many years ago would still be so popular to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously we've been talking about 5 key. When did you find out about 2DX?
Well, I first randomly came across it just looking online, because I used to actually just go to the Beatmania website and just click random links. I can't read Japanese, so I would just kind of click around until I found something that was interesting.
Yeah.
So I think it was a third style, maybe second style website, and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I thought them adding 2 keys and separating the lanes was the dumbest. It looked so stupid, and that was pretty much my first opinion on the game when I first saw it.
I thought that the separated lanes was a godsend, because I had a lot of trouble reading like older style charts, like the lanes together. So, oh wow. So did you pick it up, or did you find it, or did you?
Yeah, Southern Hills Golfland actually had a 4th style at the time. Found out about it. Friend drove me there. I failed Brilliant to You, my first song. I mean, they had the rear projection screen. You really couldn't see anything. If someone opened the door in the arcade, you pretty much lost sight of everything.
Yeah. Oh, so you had one of the original monitors, which was that 4-inch projection.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got pretty good on it and AAAing everything, and people couldn't even play at the arcade at all while I'm doing those types of songs.
How often were you playing, out of curiosity? Because I mean, it's a bit of a lapse between failing Brilliant to You and then suddenly getting AAAs. Like, were you going every day, or were you going just sometimes?
It really depended when it was. If it was the summer when I didn't have any school, then yeah, I was going multiple times a week. Eventually got it at home. Had my mom give me $200 or something for a eBay auction of second mix and the third mix, the pen disc. So I played on that for a while.
Oh yeah.
Then eventually upgraded to 2DX. I mean, thankfully my mom actually shelled out the money to get the PlayStation 2 controller, and I think 3rd and 4th at the time.
Oh wow.
So
okay. Yeah.
Once I got it at home, I was playing quite a bit.
And now I really need you to like emphasize quite a bit, because one thing that a lot of people don't realize is just how much time people put in to get up to that level. A lot of people just sort of think, oh, they're naturals and they just get there automatically. But I mean, how many hours, if you had to estimate, like how many hours were you playing at home every day?
Around 6 style, I was probably playing 5 or 6 hours a day.
That's about what
I mean, that was definitely the most I was playing it, but
yeah. So, did 2DX sort of take off in your arcade? Because you said you were going quite often. Was there a community back then when you had like sort of second style, third style?
I didn't actually go to play 2DX in the arcade very often. I didn't drive at the time, so whenever my friend could take me, that's when I'd go and play there. So at the arcade that had the 5-key machine, once they got Complete Mix 2, I mean, I still remember that night. I heard that they upgraded to Complete Mix 2, and I went there, and there was probably 30 or 40 people crowded around the machine, and really good player at the time. His name is Bobby. Really intimidating looking guy, bald head. I remember him he was playing Hellscape or Attack the Music, another or something, and at the time it was pretty amazing watching someone do that.
Yeah. So did you befriend many of these people at the time, or were you just sort of like that young shy kid who?
It wasn't really until probably 5th style at Southern Hills Golfland, because then you had the regulars there, and at that time the internet was kind of getting more popular.
I can't imagine 2DX without the internet. Like, even that is just like, oh man.
Yeah, so I remember going to DDR Freak, and someone made a Southern Hills Golfland thread on the forum, and he kind of asked if anyone's a regular there, and I had to register for the forum to post because no one else was responding to him.
Yeah.
So kind of once more people got around to DDR Freak and more common community, then everyone started becoming friends, and it was kind of a more common, more competition.
Oh yeah.
Just,
wow. Okay.
Then you could actually see who from which arcade was considered a good player. And you'd kind of travel to the other arcades, see if they were there. I mean, no one really... Cell phones weren't around at the time.
No, of course not.
They weren't really... If you had a cell phone, you were considered lucky. I mean, you had the little flip phone with the green screen and the snake or poker.
That's amazing. Like, seriously, it's so crazy to think, like, how did people actually communicate back in the day when there was none of this technology? And... jeez, like, I can't imagine it. I honestly can't. Alright, so we'll get on to, like, the main crux, which is, 5th style to 6th style CS. Now, this is a very historical moment, because what a lot of people don't realize is Konami was very close to shutting down all of their, home-style releases. You probably know a lot more about this than I do, so you may take the lead on this one.
Not really. I mean, we had 6th style for about 2 years, and it didn't seem like they were going to release 7th, so they actually set out a petition to see how many people were interested in getting 7th style at home at the time, and they were asking how much you would pay for it, how many songs you want on the disc, and just I don't remember the specifics of the petition at the time, but I know it was some of those questions.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because a Japanese player actually extended out to the Western community saying, guys, like, seriously, we need as many people as we can to sign this to get Konami to release the next style. Because everyone thought that 6th was it. 6th was going to be the end of days.
Yeah, it was just some good random Japanese citizen took it upon himself to email the webmasters of the American Bimani sites to try and get more interest.
It's also worth noting in this message at the very end, he says, P.S. I have seen the video of, what was it, the Ryan?
It was RYRY Super Play.
Yeah. So there's a really old video of Ryan playing, what was it, 8th style?
Yes.
Yeah, it was you playing Murmur Twins, I think. Was that also at the same arcade that you were at?
That was at Arcade Infinity.
Okay. Oh, so Arcade Infinity had opened at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, a topic which I'd absolutely love to touch on after this. But yeah, at the end of it, as Odin2 has written, at the end of that message saying, I've seen the RYRY 2DX Super Play, he writes, he is truly a fantastic. And ever since that message, that title has just stuck with Ryan ever since. Because it's a lovely little, like, English thing that someone added in. But yeah, so anytime someone talks about Ryan, the first thing someone will probably say is, "Oh, he's truly a fantastic."
I think there was something about does the pinky extend or something like that on the message as well, or that might have been some other comment. I forget exactly where that one came from.
Oh yeah, there was someone asking about your technique and said, "Does the pinky extend?"
Yes.
Wow, that's just so good. Actually, I didn't know that apparently your Murmur Twins video is on YouTube. I haven't found it anywhere. It's buried somewhere, but
I remember it was kind of random. I think Eric mentioned him, Vico. He was at Arcade Infinity when I got there, and he was leaving at the same time I got there. So my first game, he was recording me playing, and that's how that kind of came about. Wasn't really a planned recording or didn't have much time to practice or anything.
See, the fact that you can AAA 11s back then, not warmed up, is a real sign of just how good you were. Because, I mean, a lot of people don't realize when you were playing, the level that you were at in comparison to everybody else was just... It was such
I think I had the full beach towel wadded up on the top of the machine as well.
But seriously, man, like you were on a completely different plane. Like, people from Japan had heard about you. Once again, coming back to my friend Yusuke, he said that when he was playing 6th AC, someone was like, dude, someone in America AAA'd Summer Vacation, and which back then was like ridiculous at the time. And they're like, what? Really? Someone AAA'd Summer Vacation? Because very few people had done that in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you'd spread across like to Japan, like you were on par with some of the best Japanese players. So on the topic of rankings and things like that, obviously you said like the internet was a new thing and 2DX just sort of was starting to come up. When did you discover, or when did VJ Army come to be? Because you were probably there from the very start.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to, when I started actually getting into timing, and I just, well, the thing was I didn't know how good of a player I was at the time. There were no ranking systems. There were no way you can see how people in...
Yeah.
All we had to base it off of was the expert course rankings for the arcade games.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we had. And I eventually found a ranking site similar to VJ Army for the Japanese players.
Yeah.
And I started entering scores on that site. The problem was the scores were already 8 months old, 9 months old at the time.
Yeah,
so I didn't know. I mean, I was getting first place on those rankings, but I just kind of waved it off because the scores were so old.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started kind of looking at the user base on those websites, and some of them would have a URL posted to their blog. So I'd go on their blog and just start clicking random links, finding their cell phone pictures, 80 by 120 resolution cell phone pictures of some score they got. So I started basing how well they were doing based on those random scores.
So out of curiosity, were you actually on par with Japanese top rankers at the time?
Towards the end of 6th LCS, before 7th came out, I'd say possibly. I really can't say for certain because Japanese players had access to 7th or 8th, so they were focusing more on that than they were on the home styles.
Yeah, yeah. But even still, I mean, the scores that you were getting were just inhumane for the vast majority. Like, when the first video I saw was of your Max 300, which has been playing in the background, and it blew my mind because I'd never seen someone that accurate. You know, a AAA alone was quite impressive, but to see someone score that high on something was just, it was inconceivable. I didn't know how anyone could reach that degree of timing. And I just, yeah, I
kind of strayed away from the topic, but I had those ranking sites, and I kind of started talking about those with Dan or Remy from VJ Army, and actually kind of suggested that he do the same thing for the American players, and that's kind of how VJ Army got started. I started collecting note counts for him, and I started giving him all the information that I could provide to him.
Yeah, and it took off from there massively, I remember. Like, around 6th. I remember it used to be really hard to become a member of VJ Army as well. Like, you had to get an invite from someone.
Yeah.
So it was very close-knit. So when the site came up, talk about some of the players that were sort of big then, like people who were active, people who were good. Because I'm very curious, like, when VJ Army first came up, like, who was hot? Who was the #1 dog? Aside from you, I mean, of course, but...
I think Kevin, or Ferrari, at the time, was definitely in the top players. Hova, my friend Devon, he was also there as well. I can't really remember too many other...
Yeah, but I mean, there were some pretty outstanding players at that time. I do remember Hova, and yes, as you mentioned before, all of the drama which erupted when DJ Blee came in on the scene, and
yes.
Oh man, I came after all of that happened, and I sort of went back because my friend Zythar pulled it out and said, "Hey, this is actually some really funny stuff," and it just went, "Wow, that's that's getting a little bit out of hand."
He actually, when he first started, I was at Lancasters, which is the area he was in at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had just started playing or he hadn't started playing 2DX yet, but he gave me 50 cents to play Kakume on non-random, just so he can see how I did the scales. So that's kind of funny.
Oh man, Seriously though, like it's just it's so funny to hear about like the older players and things that they used to get up to, because as I said, everything's very, very different now. So, oh yeah. I'm just curious. Did you put in scores for everything back in the past? Because I know when I started, you only had like a handful of scores, and those just sort of disappeared slowly but surely over time.
I don't think I put scores for everything. I know I did put more scores than I did towards the end, but I still did privatize a lot of things once they added that option.
Yeah, which I think honestly was very, very hurtful towards the end to the community in scoring, and I don't actually agree with the privatizing option, because it's really like detrimental overall. Just because, as I've said in previous interviews, you had players who would only post or only have public their absolute best scores. And you get really intimidated. You'd be like, oh my goodness, this person can like get that crazy score, and he's got 5 other scores like it. But the thing is, you can't see how they did on any of the other stuff, so you just automatically presumed, oh, that person just scores that well all the time. It's yeah, so they're clearly better than me, even though like if you were to DJ battle them and everything was unprivated, you might be even with them.
Well, you know, at that time, people were more focused on, oh, this player can't AAA this.
Yeah.
They're more focused on my scores or Jaden's scores than they were about themselves not being able to AAA some 7-star. So it was kind of frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I could really imagine. And also, I mean, back then it was once you hit the 7s, that's when shit got really real. Like a lot of players now don't realize that. You know, the 7 mark now is not the 7 mark that used to exist back in the past. Like if you were doing 7s,
the flashing 7s.
If you were touching those flashing 7s, oh man, you were the real deal. Like, because yeah, as you've seen, like the ranking system's obviously different now. You've got a very broad spectrum, and on top of that, sub-spectrums that people have created.
I mean, 4-style arcade days, it really wasn't, oh, this person can AAA this. It was more, oh, this player can get 60% on Holic another, and that was then the best player in the area. So it was pretty much based off of what percentage they can get on Holic another or R5 another.
You mean gauge-wise or score-wise?
Yes, no, gauge-wise.
Oh man, that's so incredible.
I mean, I feel like scoring didn't come into play until maybe 6th. At least. I'd say 5th. I'd say 5th.
It's really interesting that it's changed like that though, because I mean, scoring is basically everything now. So
I mean, I can't remember, but on 4th style or even 5th, did you get a letter grade?
No, it
came
that came on 6th style.
In 6th. So I think that was another reason, because there weren't these rankings.
Yeah.
So people were focusing more on just passing these songs.
Yeah.
I know in expert mode it gave you the letter ranking. And that's kind of I'm a very expert course driven person. That's pretty much, once I played an expert course, I saw a AAA'd it, I was thinking, oh, I don't even know what that stands for. So I went and found some website that had a calculator for AAAs, and that's kind of, I started chasing AAAing individual songs, but you have no proof what a AAA is until you go and look it up.
Yeah, that's I could not imagine not getting a letter grade on a song. So it's really surprising that you had to actually look up, oh, was that a AAA or not? It's just,
I had to run to the other room where the computer was and type in how many notes the song has.
Yeah, and you would have had to have remembered, like, just taken a snapshot of like all of your counts and then run and then put them all in. Oh man, what a pain. Like,
yeah.
Oh jeez. Anyways, yeah. So 6th style was when all the letter grade stuff started happening. But it's also really interesting because I remember a post that Eric made back then saying, I don't remember what my first AAA was because back then AAAs didn't exist. So
yeah,
he just said he remembers.
Very accurate.
Aiming for 190k on a song. One time he was like, oh, I'll see if I can try and like 190k this song, and he got 190, and he was like, oh sweet, and then he said, okay, well that's a AAA mark. So that he was just going off that. Whereas like 190k is actually like a pretty good AAA. That's like 91, 92, as opposed to like
Yeah, especially if you broke your combo a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, it's just so interesting to hear about that. Right, so we'll talk about post 6 style. So when 7 style actually did get released, then the community started to like grow a bit more around that time. I thought, because that's when I got more involved. I remember I was there just for 7 styles release. Like,
yeah,
I thought it was no big deal, but looking back, I was like, holy crap! The fact that that almost didn't happen is just like mind blowing.
I mean, I was excited for it because of the internet ranking. Because 6 style, I probably got 200, 300th place. So I was really excited to see how I would do in 7 style.
How did you actually do compared to like Japanese on expert rankings and stuff like that?
I think on 7th I got 4th place overall.
Oh my god!
There were 2 players that treated it like an eBay auction, and they actually entered all their scores.
Yeah.
Right before the time frame closed, so I didn't really know what kind of scores the Japanese players were getting.
Oh yeah, that's
I think if I knew that someone had a higher score than I had, I probably would have played a bit more to try and improve it. But
oh my goodness, so like honestly, I really do think that you were Japanese top ranker level back then, like hands down. There's no doubt about it. I mean, just considering you were 4th with like, and that was a time when people were very, very active on CS too. Yeah, it's just so incredible to hear. All right, well, so we'll keep moving forward. You said you took a big break after 7th, right?
Yeah, I took a break. Maybe still kept playing in the arcade on 8th style, but at home didn't really play. When 8th style CS came out, didn't really play that much. For some reason, I didn't like 8th style at home because I felt that the splash graphic was actually way different than it was in the arcade, and it bugged me. So I didn't like playing it at home.
That's quite interesting to hear, actually. Now, here's something which I wanted to bring up, which never actually got clarified. You stopped, and a lot of people were speculating why you stopped playing. And the common belief is that you had wrist problems from playing. Is that true or not?
I wouldn't say it was solely from playing 2DX. I mean, I did have some wrist pain, but it's probably also from playing Beat Mania for 6 hours and then going and playing Counter-Strike for 4 hours after that. I mean, I didn't do anything as a child. I played video games and went to school, and that was pretty much it. So
yeah, no, that's understandable. The thing is, yeah, like a lot of people. I mean, Eric said it during his interview that the reason why you stopped playing this much is because you got RSI in your right wrist. Because he said that you played with your controller in your lap, and because of the angle that you had to hold your hand to scratch. Yeah,
I played in my lap up until once Gold came out. Yeah. I switched to a table, and that did help a lot.
Yeah, and I just I didn't understand, like,
though I was never
okay
in the state where it was, oh, my wrist is really hurting, I better cut this out.
Yeah, because a lot of people were under the conception that you had like a massive debilitating like strike to your 2DX career, and that was it. You were out. So it's good to finally get that like clarified, because I always thought that you'd quit because you'd injured yourself, and I just thought, oh man, that's such a disappointment. Like, you know, he was so good. And it's actually the reason why my cousin was getting into 2DX, and he stopped because he was like, oh, I've heard that guy got wrist problems, and I don't want to end up like screwing up my wrist. So yeah. So that was like a major reason why he never got into the game, because he just thought, yeah, it's gonna cause me a lot of problems down the track. But it's really good to hear that. There you go. It's one thing which I always wanted to clarify. So thank you so much for clearing that up. All right. So obviously you didn't stop because of medical reasons. It was just because you didn't like the style. Honestly, I didn't like 8th much either. I mean, I know it's a lot of people's favorite. I don't know if you know Arky, DJ Arcturus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that 8th is hands down his favorite style. But
well, I like 8th in the arcade. It was really good. Yeah. And I still went back and played 8th style later on. And it probably is one of my favorite styles. But at the time, I think maybe I was just burnt out from 7th because I played that so much.
Yeah.
And then 9 style, I didn't really enjoy that too much. 10th was
I'm surprised.
10th was amazing.
I'm surprised you didn't enjoy 9th. I mean, okay, AC, I can understand why you didn't enjoy it, because 9th AC was an absolute piece of garbage. But what about CS?
Yeah,
I mean, actually, a lot of people might not know about the changes between 8th and 9th. Do you want to highlight that to people? Because
well, I don't know if it was on purpose. It just seemed like the game was a mess. I mean, some songs were extremely easy to score on. You can get a 99% on Abyss Remix another, and then go and get a C on Genocide another. The timing windows were just completely different between songs.
Yeah, it was due to a hardware upgrade. I'm pretty sure. Like they tried porting it over to new hardware, and they just completely botched the timing. Which obviously got a lot better in 10th style AC, as you said.
Yeah.
But even still, the timing window was much tighter. And obviously, did you play a lot of 10th AC? Because that's when I started playing.
Yeah, I played a lot of 10th because that's what Arcade Infinity had at the time.
Yeah, and I'm curious, were you able to get triple ace on 10th style?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Because, yeah, like even after I started getting like better and I went back and played on a 10th style machine, I was just like, oh my god, this timing, like it's impossible. Like I can't triple A anything. But I mean, did you know specifically like if the window was later or earlier, or if it drifted? Because I never really looked into sort of the nuances.
For 9th style or
for 10th style, because it was more consistent, but it was a very, very strict window. I think 10th was by far the strictest.
I don't know. I don't really remember thinking that it was that different.
Wait, from CS?
Yeah.
What? Oh man, it was notoriously stricter. Like I remember a lot of people saying, yeah, like AC timing was insanely difficult.
Yeah, I don't remember ever thinking that. I mean, my scores were pretty consistent between arcade and home at the time.
That's really incredible to hear, because like I know that's a fact. Like after playing on 10th style, it was unbelievably hard to score, and that carried through all the way until obviously gold, where the window got laxed again. You honestly didn't notice a transition between like distorted and gold with the timing window?
Not so much. Only maybe on scratches, but
that's
pretty much it.
That genuinely surprises me, because I know people who've been playing. I mean, the best player now, DJ RYRY, or DJ KC, as you probably used to know him by. Yeah, he said as soon as gold hit, his timing went from sort of like mid double A's on 12s to like decent triple A's across the board, because the window was so much better. And even then, like compared to today, the window was still like quite tight. So
I mean, I was getting 98, 99% on songs on 6 style.
Yeah.
CS, so going to gold, I mean, maybe I just felt like I was still playing at the same level, so it really didn't seem that much different for me.
But I mean, on AC though, like you must have noticed the score drop on 10 style AC. That's what I mean. Like, surely, like you couldn't 98 stuff on 10 style AC timing, because that's like mind blowing. Like anyone who could have done that at that time.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that strict.
Because it's yeah.
I think we're just happy that it wasn't 9 style, so whatever they gave us was
I guess
fun.
once you played 9 style AC, like everything else, it just seems like a dream. So, yeah. Alright, actually I wanted to talk about this generation, sort of like when the game sort of got massively revamped, which was around like Red. Like, how did you feel about the changes to the game around then?
I think all the changes that have taken place are amazing.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Now, obviously, like you weren't active around this time. When did you sort of like stop following VJ Army? I know we had a quick discussion about this earlier, but just to clarify for the people who are watching, like when did you stop being so active on VJ Army?
Probably I took a break when Troopers came out. I didn't play much Troopers. I started playing Empress a little bit once that came out. So during that time, I wasn't too active.
Yeah.
I think I was still looking at the forum, but I really wasn't actively seeing what people were saying.
Actually, there's one interesting thing about the forums that I wanted to talk about, where someone was talking about difference in timing windows, and they're like, I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like the window's different across these styles, and then you posted a reply saying, it's just you. And this person got extremely offended, and to this day, I still love it. His reply was like, excuse me, Mr. Ryan2DX, but what credentials do you have to be telling me these things? Like, I don't want to be taking advice from a neophyte. And the responses were just golden, because like, everyone was like, you're kidding, right?
I think I responded to that.
Oh, you did, and your response was absolutely hilarious. And you're just like, oh, you know, I got that Beat Mania game a few weeks ago from Walmart, and I'm almost being normals. I mean, I'm well on my way. So, and that joke's like, it's not very well known, but it's just funny, because it's like, anytime someone mentions you, and someone's just like, who's Ryan2DX? I'm like, well, you'd better check his credentials. I mean, very good. But yeah, so, I mean, the forums obviously around Empress is when things got a little bit janky. That's when, as I said, a lot of the top people started privating their scores, and things started to go on a bit of a decline. Obviously, you know, like Remy or Dan Dixon, he had to close the site because he couldn't support that web URL. Zythar took up the mantle then, changing it to Solid State Squad, and yeah, like from there things just sort of died off because CS died, and the arcades obviously were still okay, but you know, with no home base, like with no set CS releases, a lot of players stopped playing, and you know, people tried to do something similar to what I'm doing now. There was this really great guy named Velius, Brian Fong. He tried to start up interviews, try and get the community more active again, but you know, it was inevitable. Eventually things just sort of fell apart, and that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, have you been up to date with the community and how it's changed? Because there's a very big difference between then and now.
No.
Well, I wanted to sort of tell you now how things have changed. In 2012, arcades in America became networked on a private American network known as P-World. And what it meant is every arcade could be updated with the latest style, and all of those styles were networked, which meant all of your scores were saved online. All of your scores could be compared directly to other players. It was really easy to find rivals. It opened up the game massively for so many people. Additionally to that, I don't know if you've ever heard of HDDs.
I believe so. Well,
so it was like the arcade rips that people would use. Those became public, and those were also networked. So what it meant was,
is it the same network, or is it a different?
It was a different network, and it's still different. They're both segregated. So you got AC and HDD networks, but it means that everyone could play sort of just a style before, similar to what CS was. You know how like CS was always sort of one behind AC.
Yeah.
Everyone can play a style behind networks with, you know, all of their scores saved online on a private tracker. You don't have to like put them in manually like Solid State Squad. So everything is public, everything is visible, everything is easily accessible, and it's made the community like so much more active because so many more players have access to the game that they did before. Obviously, also you know about DJ DAR controllers.
Yeah.
And how everyone can get an AC experience at home relatively cheap. I mean, almost the same price as buying a JKOC. But it's just, it is what I like to call the golden era of 2DX, because everything is just like, we are up to date with Japanese arcades. We are, everyone is able to play in sync with each other. Everyone can play on the same window. Everyone can compare to each other. So, on top of that, you know, back when there were forums and you'd have to sift through forum posts and things like that, now with Facebook, everyone can just post their stuff live. Like, you know, upload a picture, bam, it's there. It's just such a difference. Like when you talk about this era where, you know, no one had the internet, no one had cell phones, to an era where everything is just like that and up, and you can see it. And obviously, yeah, on top of that, well, there were a lot of people live streaming as well. You know, you could watch people playing 2DX live. I mean, not so much anymore because obviously there's been a few issues, but you know, you can still do that. You can watch people playing live 2DX. Like, you know, those Tatsujin dual screen style videos, which, you know, we used to love. We're like, oh my god, you know, someone who can do one of those is amazing. You know, that can be done at the drop of a hat, just like simply. And it's changed so much. I mean, I don't know, what do you feel about this change? Like, how the game has evolved and how the community's evolved?
Well, I think it's amazing. It's kind of sucks that it wasn't around back then. I think it's, for anyone that's playing now, it's insanely useful just for improving. I mean, it's just motivation.
Yeah.
Just huge.
Yeah, no, and I mean, as I said, like, it's just a wonderful time to be playing, and that is what has brought so many old players back. Like, as you said, you're like, oh, Bride's still playing. Yeah, Orochi's been like very, very active on the servers. He's one of my rivals, VGTA, or Eric, as you know him. Yeah, I talk to Eric all the time. Like, we're good bros. Yeah, we rival each other all the time. He's actually getting really salty because I'm beating a lot of his scores. But yeah, like, it's just, you're getting such an amazing mix now. You're getting a lot of old and new players. And as for the game itself, you've obviously seen the UI changes. The most recent versions, Chikoro, Spider, and Penchel did sort of what Six Style and Red did for the game. They've completely overhauled it. Completely HD now, 720. Everything runs like a lot smoother. Like, remember how you'd select a mode and you'd have to wait like 5-6 seconds for the next screen to come up?
Yeah.
It's all just streamlined now. Like, as soon as you hit the button, you're in and you're at the next screen. And it's just, the transitions are amazing compared to what you used to put up with. Another interesting thing, you know how you were saying there was no high speeds back in the past? Now, now you can have any high speed that you want on any song.
Yes. You can also remove the slowdowns, right?
Yep, you can, well, not remove the slowdowns. You can now do this thing where if there's a slowdown, you just press start and turn the turntable and it'll instantly lock your speed to what you'd set at the start. So if you had a green number of, say, 280 and you'd put on this option, no matter where the sudden plus is, it'll always be 280. It'll shift the chart according to the green number that you set, which is just ridiculous. And that's why I was saying before, like, white number's a significant factor now, because a lot of people...
So you don't have to adjust your towel, wear a hat, or
you can have your towel wherever you want, and you will always play at the exact same speed. So it's just, you know, it's a great thing to see, and like it's amazing to see just how far. Oh, and the other amazing thing is you can now change the timing window to be wherever you want it to be. I mean, it will always be the same 2-frame window, but if you want it to be earlier or later, you can adjust it in the game. Which was like necessary because they've changed all of the machines to LCD monitors in Japan now, so all the machines have different timing. So that function is just, oh, it's such a lifesaver. It was a real game changer for America too, because a lot of American machines now don't use official monitors. So it's just, so many.
I played on round one.
Oh, really?
2 years ago. And I couldn't get used to that monitor, even though it was an official. It wasn't
Pointy Hills.
It wasn't. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that one of my good friends Matt plays at now. Actually, funnily enough, talking about like the players and the new generation of players and the impact that you've had. In the last 2 years, there's actually been this player who's come up. His name's DJ Phoenix. Have you heard of him?
Yes. Well, I watched your interview.
Yeah. So DJ Phoenix is probably the best Californian player. Well, hands down, he's the best Californian player at the moment. But when he posts scores, there's so many people from the SoCal community who's like, yeah, well, Ryan's score was better from like 5 years ago. And he's just like, okay, this is really stupid because Ryan's like a completely different generation of player. And I want to know like how you feel about that. Like, people still bringing up your scores to this day, being comparable to like top rankers in the Western community.
Well, I'll apologize to him for that torture that he's going through.
Nah, it's alright. I mean, it's just interesting because we sort of look at it as, well, then was then and now is now, and it's a completely different generation of players. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to do a comparison like that fairly. And I mean, it's good because I mean, a lot of the old players are playing. It's just you were so different to all of them. It's like, well, what if Ryan was playing? What if like he was still active? So so yeah. All right. On that topic, actually, talking about the generations. Obviously you noticed going from like 7th to Happy Sky, you've got everything else, and then suddenly there was May. Now I'm curious, what did you think of May when you first played it?
Stupid.
I mean, it
Well,
was.
I think someone in one of your other interviews said it best. They said they watched Pixie's video,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, that didn't look too bad." And then when they played it, they just get destroyed. That's kind of the same thing that happened to me.
What was your sight read like? I'm curious.
It was fine. Oh, you mean
Like,
how did I do on it, or?
yeah, how did you do?
Uh, Probably pretty horrible. I really don't remember.
Ah, damn, that's a shame. Because I remember the first time I tried it, I got a C, and I hadn't seen anything in years. So I was like, oh my god, getting a C is like so wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, I'm sure I was near that, or a B, maybe an A.
Like just Aing May alone was just like an amazing accomplishment. And then yeah, like obviously now it's just like even like only until recently has there been a AAA on May in the Western community. Like it's still one of those songs which is just so dumb.
I mean, that was the thing with the community back then. It's like, but Ryan can't AAA May.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but I have better scores than
Yeah.
on 99% of the game.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, that's something I wanted to ask you about. The ramping of difficulty, because I mean, back then, as you said, if someone could get 60% on Holic Another, that was mind blowing. Yet now the charts are getting harder and harder and harder. Was that sort of influential on you in any way?
I think it was needed because I think to keep people interested in the game, it had to be done. I do think that my play style at the time, up to I guess 10th, worked just fine as it was. But once they started throwing in those new songs, my play style didn't really work so well.
No, actually, you bring up a good point, which is actually the next thing on the list. Your play style. A lot of people said that you had a very unique play style. And I'm just wondering, were you a static player or were you very freeform across the keys?
I've never recorded like a top-down view of me playing.
Yeah.
I can't even say really how I played.
Yeah, because
so that's the problem with that whole topic.
It's really fascinating because I'm very big on technique. I analyze technique a lot, and I've made a lot of videos covering technique. So a player of your level at that degree of timing, I always wondered like what you did and whether or not the pinky did extend, so to speak. So
I find that when I try and play now, my thumbs hurt really bad because I no longer have the calluses on the side of them.
Yeah,
so
the callus is a key.
The mountain callus.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a good point to give to everyone. If you play a lot, I don't know if you can see it on the webcam here, but you get this really big callus on your thumb there. And if you don't have that, it's actually really painful to play with your thumbs. And very similar to guitar and how you get calluses on the tips of your fingers, you get this callus on the side. And you know you're doing it right if you're getting that callus on both thumbs. So obviously, yeah, you did use thumbs, which is a plus. I think thumbs are absolutely necessary.
I found that when I tried to play, I guess when I tried Linkle, I mean, I came back and played it for maybe 5 games.
Yeah.
I found that I was playing a bit more stationary compared to how I used to play. I think my old technique was just kind of, if you can hit it, use whatever.
Yeah.
But then that kind of changed once all the harder charts started coming up.
Yeah, technique became really, really important around sort of like Red and Happy Sky when charts started to get a lot denser, like considerably denser than before.
Yeah, I think Happy Sky is really kind of once it started.
Yeah, so obviously you did use thumbs, so we can rule that in.
Yes.
Did you use your pinky finger on... Oh, it's 1 for you because you're a 2P player. Did you use your pinkies on 1 or 7?
Probably.
No, because
Probably more ring finger.
more ring finger. Oh, that's interesting. Because
Yeah.
once again, there's a big debate on ring versus pinky on those keys. Because there's a big trade-off. Apparently, using your pinky gives you a lot more stamina and control, whereas you lose a bit of timing. Ring's better for timing, but you get tired very quickly. That's the general consensus on that. So I was just wondering what you did.
Yeah, I think it was more ring finger.
Okay, well that's very interesting to hear, actually. Now, did you one hand for a lot of like scratching songs?
Not really.
Oh wow, that's surprising to hear. How did you do on songs like Red? I mean, I know you didn't play much of this, but did you try Red by Full Metal Jacket ever?
I have not played it.
Oh man, that was the first like very extreme scratching song, and that's an interesting to point out. The scratching songs have become ridiculous now, like compared to what was out in the past. Like,
I do feel like the timing window for scratches has been loosened a bit, though.
oh, massive.
Is that true? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the mechanics of it have changed.
Okay.
They've made the window much larger. The only problem is now you've got bad glitching on scratches, which can happen, which is bad. But I mean, it's not as bad as scratching used to be. Like, oh my god.
Arcade Infinity's turntable was also screwed up. At least I was the only one to think so, but it was kind of delayed when you would scratch, so I'd always get regular grates,
Yeah, no, it's
which kind of pissed me
you
off
need to
every
have
time.
your turntable like spot on if you want it to
Yeah.
be functioning properly. I actually own a cabinet now, so yeah, I've looked into this massively, and I turntable.
I think that's the only way that I would play again is if I had a cabinet. I just say I don't have so I don't feel like I need to drive 90 minutes to go play the game anymore.
Oh yeah, well, so the nearest machine to you is 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a shame. Because I know that when Arcade Infinity closed, a lot of people sort of migrated. You know about Super Arcade, obviously, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people there, and you are in like the mecca of 2DX actually for America, because you've got Lakewood, you've got Pointy Hills, you've got Super.
Yeah.
It's a really nice place to be for 2DX, whereas a lot of people have to drive, as you said, 90 minutes to get to a machine, and it's not a very good machine, whereas those machines are pretty much perfect. All right, so it's interesting to hear that. Now I wanted to keep going with like options that you use and things like that. Can you tell me about your green number? Because I know green number was introduced, and you obviously had used it. When it first came out, me and my friend had the same opinion of, who's ever going to use this option? This option seems kind of dumb. And then like 5 games in, you're like, oh my god, how did I ever live without this? This is like amazing. What did you use as a green number most of the time?
I think it depended where I was playing or how often I was playing it.
Yeah.
If I was playing more often, it would just kind of get lower, probably around 270, 275.
Oh yeah.
At the arcade, it was probably more around 285, 290.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned as well, like the shift going lower for arcade, because a lot of people find it really hard to adjust.
Yeah.
So you also had to read just a little bit slower on AC.
Yeah.
Wow, so okay, so it wasn't just like us, because I mean, I always tell people if you're having trouble adjusting to the AC cabinet, lower your grade number a bit, and it's helped a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been just the smaller TV at home, or I really don't know.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of factors, and it's tough to pinpoint exactly what, but it's just amazing how finicky the game is, like, and how sensitive you can be to those changes, I feel. All right, so we're getting close to the hour mark. I'll try and just quickly go over some quick trivia, and then we'll have a bit of Q&A. So, looking back, what was your favourite style? What style is like the dearest to you?
Probably 6th, just because I was forced to play it.
Yeah.
So much, or 10th, just because the music in 10th I think was probably some of the best. And the charts,
I love 10th. I love
the
10th
charts in
as well.
10th style were very fun.
No, going back, they really didn't age very well. All right. Who is your favourite artist?
I was always really bad at artist names, and I can't even think of a name right now.
Oh, well, we'll go with songs. Like, if there was a song which you had to pick, like, if you jumped on a 2DX machine now and was like, oh, I really want to pick X song, like, what song would it be?
If I ever went back and played again, I always look for System Romance.
System Romance is
as my go-to first song.
Who was that? Was that Akira Yamaoka? I think he's
I believe so.
he quit. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really good to hear that. That's a great song. I like that song too. Okay, so obviously, what about charts? Like, if you had a chart, which you just think, man, that was a really fun chart to play.
I'd say that one.
System Romance.
I actually enjoyed Space Fight.
Another?
Yeah.
That song is so hard. it's
That was really fun.
It's really tough to time though. Like, honestly.
What else? I liked just constant charts like Heavenly Sun.
Oh, Heavenly Sun's once again a chart which you've got to you've really got to muscle out.
Yeah, I mean, if I try and play it now, my forearms feel like I've been rock climbing for 5 hours.
Yeah, no, that's the same feeling I get when I play it. All right, so obviously you're a big fan of just like, so you're more focused on the charts more so than the artist or the songs, like.
Yeah, and I would also keep difficulty around 10s or 11s.
Yeah, so you weren't too big on 12s?
I wasn't too big on 12s. There were some 12s I enjoyed playing, others it wasn't fun for me. It's not because I was getting horrible grades, it's just it wasn't as fun as getting a 98, 99% on it.
It'd be really interesting if you heard some of the songs now that they've made as 12s. Don't get me wrong, there's some amazing stuff, but have you ever heard of an artist called Prim?
No.
Prim is basically very, very Japanese, sort of like, okay, think Love Shine sort of style music, but then make it sort of really, really dense, stupid charts on top of that. And that's basically what Prim is. And the interesting thing is a lot of the new generation players love Prim. All of the old generation players really hate Prim. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see what you think of it.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it.
As you can see, that there's a lot of people now in the chat saying like, you know, Prim is the shit and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, it's just interesting. Now, on the topic of difficulty, a lot of people say that the meta of 2DX is getting into BMS. Were you familiar with BMS at all?
Not so much. I mean, I played BM98 when 5-key was... I still played 5-key, and that was pretty much it. I mean, every once in a while, I'd tell myself I was going to get into BMS, and I'd go and download some charts, and I'd play it for maybe 5 minutes and stop.
Because, yeah, BMS, obviously you're familiar with dancing games. You know In the Groove?
Yeah.
Yeah, so In the Groove to DDR is what BMS is to 2DX. It's the game where people just keep pushing the limits of what's humanly possible and making the stupidest charts you will ever see. And now there's a complete scale for that, ranging from 1 to 24, 1 being AA difficulty, and 24 being just something which I can't even fathom. It's just ridiculous. So you never actually delved into BMS at all, because I know, like, even back when you were playing, BMS was somewhat more active, but so you never played it?
No.
Wow, okay. You were still at that level. So there you go, guys. You don't have to play BMS if you want to get good at 2DX. And what about doubles? Were you ever interested in doubles?
I enjoyed 10-key doubles more than 2DX.
Wasn't 10-key like with the scratches both on the same side?
Well, if you played it on Beatmania 3 cabinet, it was fine.
Okay. Well,
if I ever played double, I had to do double battle mirror.
Oh wow.
Or else I couldn't play it. So I stayed away from it. That's too hard.
So you never really tried doubles in 2DX?
No.
Okay, because there's a lot of avid double players still in the community. It's not as big, but yeah, there are still people who really enjoy playing doubles. So I wanted to ask about it just in case. I also don't play doubles at all. I have no real interest in it, even though a lot of people say you have a cabinet, you should be like exploring the game to its fullest. I'm like, I have no interest in playing it. So yeah. All right, let's move on now. That's all the questions I really wanted to ask you. It's been an hour, and just from me personally, thank you so much for joining. I'm now going to swap across the chat. There's 22 people watching at the moment, which is, wow, quite an amount of people. Normally I only get like half this number viewing me when I'm playing, which is a bit sad. But yeah, people will want to ask some questions, no doubt. Guys, if you have any questions for Ryan, post them in the chat and I'll ask him directly and you'll get your answers. There's already one straight off the bat. Ask him about his 5.1.1 max money score. I'm not familiar with this, so what is this like?
I forget when it was, but I wanted to see how many points he got for a perfect score with a border bonus.
Wow, actually.
So I figured out how many double presses at the last keys of 511 it would take to get to 80%.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I don't know. I had never heard of anyone trying it, so I went and did that, and it was something like 221999. I forget the exact
because I know
money
the
score number.
Border bonus gives you like what 3,000 extra, and the perfect bonus gives you like I've forgotten the same sort of thing. So, oh my god, that's
I forget what it was exactly, but.
So you got the highest money score in the world. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So there you go. Number 1, 511 money score wise. Yeah. C Stuff was saying sounds like you have to do it again. I don't know. We'll see.
There was a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah. You'd have to dig it up. All right. So another question. Down here from Sigrin, who's a relatively new member of the community. How did you develop consistency on accuracy? So this is actually a big thing because obviously I keep telling people there's a big difference between getting a AAA and getting like 95, and then it just gets exponentially harder. How did you work on accuracy?
For me, it was expert courses because not only did it force you had to be consistent on every single song, but you had to also play songs that you might not enjoy just to make sure you can get a consistent score on it all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is something which I actually point out to people all the time. So you'd say that obviously playing a variety of songs definitely helped, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and constantly playing not just songs that you like, but songs which are different to what you used to.
And you'd also have to adjust to the BPM changes.
Yeah.
One song might be 130, but then the next song is going to be 180, and you have to learn to be consistent at that as well.
Yeah,
just jumping from one to the other.
Yeah,
and not sitting there and whoring out one song for 5 hours.
Which is what DJ John used to do, and that's how he said he got most of his scores. It's just really interesting because a lot of players nowadays. They don't realize how lucky they are because with so many songs in the game, they've got so much variety to choose from, and that's why you see players like, as I said, this guy Sigreen. He went from just starting the game a few months ago to now being a 10th Dan, which has once again gotten harder and clearing like mid-level 12s just because there's that much variety. And I always implore people, play as many different songs as you can, even if you don't like it, play it because it will help you to improve. So, thank you for clarifying my points on that, because a lot of people, I don't know if this actually makes sense or not, but yeah, thanks for that. So, expert courses were a big thing for you, obviously. Sad news for you. Did you know expert mode was removed?
Oh, that's horrible. I don't want to play anymore.
You're not the only person who's said that. See, that's the thing.
Because that was one of the only things I had to base how I was doing against the Japanese players at the time.
Yeah.
It's like I would get a score and I'd go see if that beat AGOP or Sylv's score. And that's how I would, even though those scores were 2 years old at the time, find out how I did.
I loved the comment, the expert course, what's that? Oh, that's great. Alright, any other questions? Let's see. Come on, guys. We need more questions in here. This is a very rare opportunity that you guys have. So please use it up. Ask Ryan all the questions. That was actually something which I wanted to ask you as well. What kept driving you? Once you got that score, that score where you're like, damn, I'm really happy with that. Was it the Japanese players that kept driving you to keep pushing to get better and higher scores? Because I
was always comparing myself to them. I was never comparing myself to the U.S. players at the time.
Yeah, because that's even to this day, that stands testament. The Japanese players are just so much better than everyone
because with
else.
the gold internet ranking, so I got first place on that, but the thing was I beat DDN and Carps,
Yeah.
who I think Carps is still getting world records
Yeah, he is.
today. And at the time, he was, I think, top 3 on Empress. So I know the scores I was getting were very good.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. All right, here we go. There's one from our good old friend C Star Flair, if you remember him. He wants to know who taught you to use a towel.
I forget if I saw a Japanese player do it in a picture, but I remember I did it on Ballad for You, and my score, I got plus 60 or something first try.
Wow.
So I just started using it on slower songs, and eventually I took a towel to the arcade, and people at the arcade saw that I did that. They didn't really realize what I was using it for, but they started bringing a towel as well.
Oh, yeah.
But then they were playing 200 BPM songs with 4 inches of towel and doing absolutely horrible.
Yes, you would.
So they didn't really realize what it was for.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I'm the first person to do it, but I don't remember if I saw someone else do it or if I just randomly kind of came across it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's pretty interesting to hear. So would you say that you started it? Like, did you mention it and then people were like, wait, what? What's this towel thing? And did it start from there, or were you the pioneer of the towel, so to speak?
I don't think so. I mean, I at the same time, you would see in Pixie's videos, I think he had some where he, like his Moonchild video, I believe he had a towel in there.
No, but I mean in America, like, did you bring the concept across? Because obviously no one was using it at the time.
Maybe, I can't say for sure.
I remember, yeah, like the good old days. Actually, a lot of people don't realize this. You used to have to, there was no sudden plus in the game back then, so you had to bring a towel in order to cover the lane. There was no other option, and there were only 3 high speeds. So now, where you have any high speed that you want, it's like, you cannot fathom having to bring a towel. People looking at you weird, like, why's that guy got a towel on the screen? And then, yeah, just...
I don't know if I should mention this, but I wrote the guide for the KOC modding.
Oh, you did, yeah.
I'm saying I shouldn't mention it because I still see people say that it ruined their controller and everything. My response is they did it incorrectly.
The key shaving thing was a big thing. I mean, I shaved mine. I've actually still got my JKOC next to me now.
I had to shave it 4 or 5 times before it finally got to the point where it was impossible for that thing. I eventually sold that controller, but yeah, I think people were just not really following the directions very well.
Oh well, there you go. All right, so there's more stuff here. There's a lot of questions that have just come in that last part. How did you find that 2P was the right side for you, and did you try playing 1P at all for 2DX?
Played 2-player because of 5-key, both turntables were on the right side, so you were kind of forced to play on that side. And I never tried 1-player just because I was so used to playing on 2-player.
Yeah, so there was no real reason. Same thing for,
yeah, I mean, I think it's true for most people. I'm right-handed, but my left hand is definitely the dominant hand when I play 2DX.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing because I'm left.
I mean, I can't even write my name with my left hand, but.
Yeah, because I'm left-handed, and I started playing on 1P, and people think it's kind of weird because my dominant hand, my writing hand, is the one that I'm using to scratch. So, same thing. I mean, it's just what you're comfortable with, honestly. It doesn't really matter. But I do implore a lot more people to start playing 2P because there's a massive majority of 1P players in America at the moment. And, yeah, need more 2P love, guys. Seriously, if you've got friends, throw them on 2P because we need more 2P players. Right, 2 questions from Donovan Milkchan. Okay, do you know where the world record database is that keeps all of the top scores for each 2DX style?
I think so. I mean, I could just search for it and probably find it.
Okay, and the second one.
I haven't seen the latest scores.
Don't look at them. They're absolutely disgusting. Like, the Japanese have taken the game to a level which I never thought it could be brought to. on May, someone got 95% EX score on May,
Oh, jeez.
and it's really funny because all the top rankers threw a party for him, and you see them like having a toast to his score and stuff like that. Oh, it's so good. But all right, the next question from Milk-chan is: do you consider using a hat to be cheating in the game?
I'd say no. I mean, I actually never really used it. I think I tried it on May as a joke, and I still got a horrible score, so I didn't use it.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think I was better off with just scowling at the screen and trying to use my eyebrows as a at the hat.
Yeah, no, I can understand that too. I've got a hat, but I don't use it because I don't understand how using it is beneficial.
I don't know.
Actually, a question from me. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, but I get a lot of criticism because I'm one of the better players in the community, but I don't have the Kaiden Dan rank. Now, Kaiden was introduced in Distorted, so you're aware of it, right? The top Dan rank Kaiden. You got it, obviously, didn't you?
Pretty sure I did. I mean, I've never really cared about it. I know now it's kind of, when you're on your profile, it shows what level you are, but at the time there was no real reason for me to...
Yeah. So do you think it is important?
No.
There you go, guys. Thank you for supporting me on this argument, because I get almost daily criticism for not having Kaiden, and it's just, so frustrating. No, it's not really. It's fine. It's just a running joke now, but yeah.
Can you, did they change the rules of it at all? Because you used to not be able to use random. You used to...
actually, in the latest style, Pendule, they have actually changed it where it's a dual theme, right? It's actually a really amazing thing where it's got like a light theme and a dark theme, like present and future, and depending on the theme, the Dan courses get mirrored.
Oh, that's good.
So,
I used to play a lot on Mirror, actually, just because I found the charts were better than...
Yeah. So
I could be more consistent on Mirror than I could with waiting for a random.
It's actually a really interesting argument with May, where people say that May is easier for 2P and harder for 1P because of where the jacks are situated. So if you play on Mirror for 1P, it's probably easier. But if you play Mirror for 1P, then Himiko gets mirrored, and Himiko's harder for 1P mirrored than it is for 2P. So it's like a trade-off. Like there's different challenges with it. So I think it's actually a really interesting addition to the Dan courses, just because now you can actually, flavor what it's like to play on the other side.
Well, I'm sure the course now is harder than it was Distorted. So if I did have it in Distorted, I'm sure I probably
it's got
wouldn't be able to get...
It's got 2 songs in it which actually, no, it's got 1 song you won't know, Shakunetsu, which is the new, Scratch Boss song, which is absolutely ridiculous. But now, the latest one from Sparta was, it starts with Nageki, then it's Beachside Himiko, which I don't know if you played or not, and then May. So it's always going to have May at the end, and that's the reason why I'm never going to pass it, because I can't do May. Okay, so here we go. Next question is from Carson Daly. Were you active in any other Bimani? What do you think of the newer Bimani games, such as U-Beat, Reflect Beat, and Sound Voltex?
I tried U-Beat a few times. I was pretty bad at it, so I didn't really like how it was. And I've never played the others. I don't even know what they look like.
Okay, yeah. So Konami's released a whole bunch of new games
recently. I did play some DDR. I mean, I think everyone did at that time.
So you have primarily just been 2DX this whole time.
Yeah, and I played pop and music just because I didn't like waiting to play 2DX, so I'd go and play that, because that normally never had a line, whereas 2DX would have 4 or 5 people. Yeah,
and even, to this day as well, some of the bigger arcades like Sunnyvale Golfland, apparently there's always a line there still. So it's good to branch out, I think, just to well, it used to be, that used to be part of the thing, is this social experience. You'd go there and there'd be 12 people waiting. Yeah, and you just kind of socialize, and that was part of the fun in it. But then once it got later, it was kind of, I'd get pissed off if I'd go there and see people playing, because I just wanted to go there, play, and leave. And I don't want to talk to anyone. Oh dear, what's happened to you, Ryan? What's happened? Alright, one from Odintu. Since you haven't been playing 2DX for a while, what are you up to nowadays in gaming?
Just PC games, Counter-Strike, Dota 2.
Oh, yeah.
But that's pretty. I don't spend too much time playing on the computer anymore, or just playing in video games in general.
Yeah,
It's mainly just work and some other various.
Yeah, well, everyone has like changes in lives. They move on. Someone came in a little bit late, and they just wanted to clarify how often were you playing at your peak on a daily basis?
5 or 6 hours a day.
Yeah, which is pretty standard for when people are young. I mean, I used to play 6 hours as well.
But when it was later on Gold,
Yeah.
I mean, people would post pictures of having 500 play count on songs, and I had maybe 15 play count on my most played song.
And yet your scores were still
I
just so
didn't
good.
play a lot. Most of my time was spent in expert mode.
Yeah, which is really amazing that you still kept expert mode as like the main motivator, because as I said, now it's gone. Like, the only way you can compare is by looking at the global ranking. It's actually really cool, because now when you get a score, on the side of the screen it'll show you a ranking of either your rivals or of...
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's really cool.
I mean, it's really, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a shame that, as I said, that wasn't around. Let's see, what else? Someone asked me, so why aren't you carding yet? I've already covered that. Do you think that there is a correlation between how good you get at 2DX and how antisocial you become?
No,
No?
I think I just became more impatient and just wanted to I would go there specifically just to play 2DX. I wouldn't go there to...
Oh, yeah.
Especially because the community did change, and I didn't want to get asked certain questions.
Well, I think, yeah, the community nowadays is much better, and if you did go and play, like, you'd find it's so much more welcoming, and there's so many wonderful people in the community.
Yeah.
So that brings up a question from me. Would you ever consider coming back and playing again? I mean, obviously not to the competitive level that you were before, but would you ever consider just like...
I mean, I'm interested in playing the latest one just to see how it's changed, because it's been... I think the last one I tried was Linkle, and that was maybe 5 or 6 games of it, and that was it.
Yeah, this style, I've got to say, they've done a really good job with it. It is so polished. It's so enjoyable to play, and as I said, it's bringing the people back. So, hey, I mean, if you were going to go, you really should just like post. And I know I'm saying this like against you saying how you don't like waiting in line, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would love to meet you and love to talk to you about the game.
I mean, I might take a trip soon, just to see how it is. Maybe next month or so during the Christmas break.
Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, if you do, like, please, like, let people know, because I'm sure people would love to come and play a few games with you or chat to you and stuff like that. Or you could DJ battle with the DJ Phoenix and put all of those questionable statements of the old AI players to
I remember when I played Linkle, I signed up for the score tracking.
Yeah.
And I mean, within an hour of me playing, people were messaging me asking if I was this DJ name, and then people started comparing their scores to mine and saw that I was 10th place or something. I mean, I hadn't played the game in 2 years, and they just made a huge deal about it, so it was kind of a little off-putting.
Well, no, well, think of it positively. I mean, you are a big deal. Like, you are like 2DX legend. Like, for you to come back and play is a really big thing for people, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to see you become active again and play against the people. I mean, there are some very good players now, I do have to say. Like, as you've seen, like the overall standard of 2DX players has just grown exponentially, and no, it'd just be really good to see you come back and play again. And yeah, someone says come over. Someone wants you to come to their house and play 2DX. Someone says RYRY will be the guy at the arcade in sunglasses and a hat. And alright, we're running this quite long, but I think I'll take maybe 2 more questions, and then we'll call it a day, just because I don't want to keep you up, because you have work obviously tomorrow and things like that. But alright, One from here is what do you miss more, playing 2DX or being active in the community?
I mean, it's a combination of the two.
Did you feel that it really went
because
hand in hand?
well, yeah, I mean, it was a hobby and everyone played the same game, enjoyed the same, talking about the same thing. So it was kind of just the whole experience of it.
Yeah, and honestly, that is the primary reason why I'm still playing today. I mean, if
Mhm.
not for the people who are playing at the moment, just yeah, I don't think I'd be playing at all. Like, I wouldn't have any interest if not for the wonderful people who are playing now.
I mean, I had Japanese people, I had Korean people messaging me on MSN Messenger.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, it was when I think about it now, it's kind of weird, but yeah, I used to talk to these people on a daily basis just because of the game, even though they couldn't really speak English very well.
Yeah, well, they tried for you at least, which is good to hear.
They did.
I actually, I don't know if you knew this, but I was living in Japan just previously for 2 years. And I actually met a lot of really, really good players. Like, it's some names you might recognize. DJ Zeno.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a local in my area. And I spoke to him about like all of the old school stuff. And he actually remembered your name. He said, "Oh, RYRY from America. I remember him. He was really, really good." And I also met someone who came about sort of towards the end when you weren't as competitive. DJ 1048 Toshia.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Oh, he was around.
he was around. Yeah, so he's still playing as well, which is amazing to see. And
I mean, I was surprised to see. I mean, I checked the record database, and I still saw Tanmin.
Oh, Tanman's new. He came about very recently, actually.
Really? No, I thought it was an old name. That's surprising.
No, he's a relatively new player. But yeah, 1048 or Toshia as we call him. Toshia taught Tanman how to play. But I think you might be thinking of like Ebby Fly.
Yeah. Well, he changes his name so damn often. Maybe it's...
Yeah. But yeah, Ebby Fly quit after he lost KAC. Got really salty and just stopped playing. so yeah. Alright, let's see if there's anything else that should be asked. Because yeah, as I said, I don't want to drag this out too long. You've obviously got stuff to do. And honestly, I really do appreciate you taking the time today to talk to me about this. It's been really enlightening for me, and I'm sure all the people watching have really enjoyed this interview. So yeah. Okay, one last question. I want to get a good question, because there's a lot of sort of like wishy-washy questions. Oh, here's an interesting one. Did you clear 8th Q on Happy Sky CS? You know the secret Dan course? With scripted long and May? Did you ever clear that?
I don't think I ever tried it.
You never tried scripted long? Oh wow, you were missing out, man. Scripted long was like the most amazing thing ever. It was all of the scripted connection charts chained to one another with a new chart altogether. So it was like, I don't know, 5...
8 minutes or...
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I played it. I just don't remember what score I got on it or how I did on it.
Oh well, I mean, but you did try it. But it was basically a course where it was scripted long, and then it's like, okay, so you cleared that. Here's May at the end of it. So it was basically the Kaiden of Happy Sky CS.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you cleared that, then yeah, you you were doing very well at the time. So yeah, it's 7 minutes long apparently. So yeah. Okay, one interesting thing. You know how the new version, I told you there's a new version and it's all amazing. They actually introduced this mod called Expand Judge. And what this mod does is it makes the timing window 4 times larger. What do you think about this addition to the game?
What is it for?
We don't know. And I honestly, I don't like it at all, but I was wondering what you were thinking of it. So, apparently it's for beginners.
That doesn't track your score, right?
Okay, no, it doesn't.
I saw Dolce posted some pictures not too long ago, and it's like 4 grades on checking you out, or was he using that mode, or?
Yeah. I don't think he was.
Or do people do that and post a picture of it just for fun, or I mean?
Oh yeah, it's just for fun for most people. I mean, there's people.
Okay, yeah, I guess I just don't know what it'd be used for.
The thing is,
It
I
seems
mean,
like kind of useless.
yeah, I feel like it's a useless addition and it really detracts from the game. But I was just wondering what
I
you
mean,
thought.
even if you're a beginner, you might as well just try and get used to the game because it's going to get much
Yeah,
harder.
yeah, it's only going to get harder from there. Yeah, I didn't think that it was a very good addition. So yeah, we'll leave it at that, I guess. All right, is there any final question? If someone has a really good question, I'll ask it. But if not, yeah, was there anything that you wanted to say, Ryan? Actually, just personally, because I mean, there's a lot of people watching, and
Nothing I can think of. I think we've covered
yeah.
mostly everything.
Okay, so final thing, which is actually pretty interesting. What was your mindset? And I know this is a very broad question, but what was your mindset back then when you were playing?
I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess what? Let's see. Oh, okay. Here's an interesting one. Who were your biggest rivals in VJ Army, if you even had any? I mean, honestly.
I mean, it's the usual group.
Yeah.
Is Hood, Sea Star, Chicken,
Yeah.
Oddity,
Yeah.
Crystal.
Crystal was just absolutely extraordinary. It's interesting. Did you guys ever do a direct comparison of scores at any point, or?
No, I mean at that time, none of us, or neither of us, really showed too many of our scores.
Yeah, which is
It's like if I had a score on something, she would never post a score on that same song, and if she had a score on something, I would never post it.
And see, that's the great thing about the modern day system. Because,
yeah, no, I think it's a good system.
Yeah, because it motivates people. It's like, okay, my score is there. There's no hiding it. I have to improve it, otherwise I won't be ranked high. And it's really pushing people at the moment. It's very competitive, sort of at the top end, with the exception of, once again, DJ KC, who's just destroying everyone. But yeah. All right. So I'm gonna call it here because it's been an hour and a half. Once again, from me, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. Like, I really appreciate you doing it. A lot of people have really been looking forward to hearing this interview, and like I'm so glad that I'm able to do it. Like, and as I said, like, it's a real honor for me to be able to talk to you because you were one of the really big influences for me as a player as well. And yeah, I just want to say thank you overall for like contributing to American 2DX history and just overall being a good guy and showing up and doing the interview. So yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks for the invite.
Okay, and yeah, as I said, if you ever are considering going and playing, please like do tell people about it and do try and talk to the members of the community because, as I said, for the most part, this is the best music game community I've ever been a part of, and you know, it's always good to see people like be active in it. And if we can get someone as legendary as you talking once again or being active once again, I'd be very happy. But yeah. So yeah, thanks heaps for that, and thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. I don't know when the next interview I'm going to do is going to be, but who would you be interested in hearing from? Because I mean, obviously you said you've gone back and listened to some of the interviews. Who'd be a player that you'd be interested in hearing about, Ryan?
I'd say maybe Daniel.
You mean DJ Hood?
Yes.
It's funny, I actually asked him if he wanted to do an interview, and he was like, oh, I'm actually really shy, and I can't talk very well. I'm more into just playing anyway, so I was like, oh.
Well, I'm the same way, so.
No, but it's been really good. Like, you have just shed so much light on so many different things. Yeah, I'd love to get DJ Hood on, and if he is watching...
I mean, not even so much just a player, just someone who's been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, your interview has been the most interesting to hear about, you know, the early days of 2DX, because not many people were around then, so... Yeah, it'd be great. Someone has said Fnatic. Would you be interested in hearing about DJ Bleed?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sure, it'd be good.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to hear. But yeah, anyways, I will call it a day, and once again, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching. This will be recorded and put up on YouTube, so if there's anything else that like I missed or I didn't ask, and you guys are interested, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll just send it to Ryan directly, and I'm sure he can get back to it. But thanks so much for all of that today. I'll see you guys next time.